Welcome, my friends. I want to ask you something. What if the people who claim to love you the most are the ones who hurt you the deepest? What if family, the foundation of our lives, is also the source of our greatest pain? There is a unique kind of suffering that comes from being rejected by the very people who were supposed to protect you. It's not the pain of failure. It's not the agony of heartbreak. It's something even heavier, the wound of being turned away by your own blood. And the hardest part? Sometimes you never even know why. But tonight, I want to talk about a truth that many people are afraid to admit. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you may see yourself and your life very differently. There's a kind of sadness that lives in unanswered phone calls, in invitations that never come, in the cold distance from people who once meant everything to you. It's the pain of being abandoned, not by strangers, but by the ones who were supposed to be your greatest supporters. Some wounds fade over time, but others leave scars, hidden but always there, aching in the quiet moments when you ask yourself, why? Why did they turn away? What did I do to deserve this? You replay the past, searching for the moment everything changed. But the truth is, this rejection was never about you. We grow up believing that family is forever, that love from those closest to us should be unconditional. But some of you have learned the hard way that love can come with conditions. It is given when it's convenient, when it aligns with expectations, when you fit into the narrow space they have carved out for you. The moment you step outside that space, you become an outsider in your own home. This isn't just a disagreement. It isn't just family tension. It is something deeper. It's the realization that their love was never truly for you. It was for the version of you that suited them. And the moment you embrace your true self, they pull away. Some drifted silently. Others left abruptly, cutting you off and leaving you to make sense of it all alone. But hear me when I say this. Their rejection does not define your worth. It never did. It never will. The truth is, some people cannot handle what they cannot control. Not everyone who shares your blood is meant to walk with you on your journey. Sometimes they reject you not because you are wrong, but because you have outgrown the small space they wanted to keep you in. They may call it rebellion. They may call it selfishness. But deep down, their fear is simple. You are no longer under their control. From the moment we are born, we are shaped by those who raise us. We learn from them, we trust them, and we follow their lead because we know nothing else. But then something happens. We grow. The world opens up. We begin to see new possibilities, and a voice inside us whispers, "There is more." Some people celebrate that growth. They cheer you on as you find your own path, but others see it as a threat. They hold on to an older version of you, the one they felt they could control. They remind you of who you used to be, as if that's the only version of you they are willing to love. And so, you are faced with a choice. Do you shrink yourself to fit their expectations, sacrificing your truth just to make them comfortable? Or do you move forward, knowing that choosing yourself may mean losing them? Walking away doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean you don't wish things were different. It simply means you refuse to betray yourself for their approval. There will be days when the weight of their absence feels unbearable. There will be nights when doubt creeps in, whispering that maybe they were right. Maybe you should have stayed. Maybe choosing yourself was too costly. But ask yourself, what is the price of living a life that isn't yours? Too many people spend their lives chasing the approval of those who have already denied them. They twist and reshape themselves, hoping to be loved. But love that requires you to be someone you're not isn't love, it's control. And control disguised as love is the cruelest lie of all. To those who have felt this pain, know this: you are not alone. More importantly, you made the right choice. Growth is often lonely, and not everyone is meant to walk with you. Some people will always cling to their old image of you, unwilling to accept the person you've become. Let them. If they need to hold on to their version of you, let them. But don't let that stop you from living your truth. Their love, or lack of it, does not define you. Their rejection does not define you. Only you have the power to define yourself. And here's the beautiful part. When you finally stop searching for love in places where it was never meant to be, you will find something incredible. You will find people who love you for who you truly are, not for what you can do for them. You will build a new family, not one bound by blood, but by choice. A family based on respect, on understanding, on love, that does not demand that you shrink yourself to fit someone else's expectations. If you are at a crossroads, holding on to the past, hoping for change, I ask you this: what if the love you're searching for is ahead of you, not behind? What if everything you need is just beyond your fear of letting go? Move forward. Don't look back. There is nothing for you there. There comes a moment in life when you are forced to confront a truth so profound and unsettling that it shakes everything you once believed. It is the realization that people do not treat you according to your worth, but rather according to their own nature. Their rejection, their indifference, their coldness. These are not reflections of your value, but of their own limitations. This is difficult to accept, especially when you have spent so long internalizing their judgments, carrying their expectations like a weight on your shoulders. You have questioned yourself, wondering if you were too much or too little. Would they have embraced you if you had been quieter, more agreeable, more like them? Did they leave because of something you lacked? Would they have truly seen you if only you had conformed to their vision? But what kind of love is conditional? What is the value of acceptance if it is only granted in exchange for compliance? Real love does not demand that you shrink to fit a mold. It does not punish you for growing, evolving, or stepping into your power. Yet so many have mistaken control for love, believing that affection must be earned through obedience, that their pain is somehow your fault. The turning point comes when you finally see that their rejection was never about you. When you stop measuring your worth against their inability to appreciate you, when you refuse to see their silence as a debt you must repay with self-sacrifice, you gain something powerful. People perceive the world through the lens of their own wounds, their own fears, their own past experiences. Sometimes they reject you not because you have done anything wrong, but because your presence forces them to confront truths they are not ready to face. Your freedom reminds them of their own captivity. Your courage highlights their fears. Your willingness to break free exposes the chains they refuse to remove. They push you away not because you are unworthy, but because they are incapable of loving you as you are. That is not your burden to carry. For too long, you have justified their actions, convinced yourself that if you just tried harder, gave more, proved yourself, they would finally see you. But there is no nobility in begging for attention. There is no honor in proving your worth to those who refuse to acknowledge it. The moment you understand that you do not need their approval to validate your existence, you become untouchable. Stop looking for affirmation from those who have no intention of giving it. You were never meant to spend your life on your knees pleading for love. Look in the mirror and see yourself as whole, complete, and enough. You do not need to be less to make others comfortable. You do not need to apologize for existing as you are. There is something profoundly liberating about realizing that you do not have to hold on to people who have already let go of you. Love should never feel like a battle for scraps of attention. True love does not demand endurance as proof of devotion. It does not keep you at arm's length, making you earn every ounce of affection. Real love builds a place where you belong effortlessly, without restriction or fear of exile for saying the wrong thing, making the wrong move, or changing in ways they did not anticipate. The redemption you seek does not come from their validation, but from your own. It is not their acknowledgement that matters, but your ability to sit in silence, alone with your thoughts, and no longer feel the need to prove yourself. The day you finally understand that you were never the problem is the day you reclaim your power. Some will call this selfish. They will say you have become cold, distant, unfeeling. They will try to guilt you into submission, reminding you of everything they have done for you, everything they sacrificed. But love should never be a debt. If it comes with conditions, it was never love to begin with. Your strength lies in knowing that you owe no one an explanation for your existence. You do not have to diminish yourself so that others can feel larger. Your only obligation is to accept yourself fully. And so you rise, not in anger, but in clarity, not with resentment, but with understanding. If someone cannot love you as you are, that is not your loss. Some will never accept your truth, but that does not make it any less true. You were not meant to fit into the small, confining space they built for you. You were meant to break free, to defy expectations, to exist boldly and unapologetically. When you stop seeking what should have been freely given, you come to a profound realization. You were never chasing their love. You were searching for your own. And the moment you give it to yourself, you will understand that you were never truly alone. Whose approval have you been living for? It is a simple but life-altering question, one that many never dare to ask. For too long, you have shaped your life around the expectations of others. You have spoken the right words, followed the unspoken rules, molded yourself into a version that might finally earn their acceptance. But there is a cruelty in seeking approval from those who will never give it. No matter how much you sacrifice, no matter how much of yourself you erase, it will never be enough. The truth is, their acceptance was never about your efforts. It was about their capacity to give it, and that was always fragile, always conditional. So you must choose, not between them and you, but between illusion and reality. You have believed that if you just tried harder, just gave more, you could finally earn what was withheld. But their approval was always fleeting, given with one hand and taken away with the other. It is time to stop chasing it, to stop waiting, to stop contorting yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant to hold you. Your worth is not something to be decided by others. You were not created to be merely acceptable, tolerable, or convenient. You were meant to be whole, wild, and unapologetically yourself. This journey is not easy. There will be loneliness, moments of doubt, a longing for the love you always deserved but never received. But on the other side of that loneliness is something extraordinary: freedom. The kind of freedom that comes from knowing you owe no one your silence, your submission, or your suffering. The freedom of no longer asking for a seat at someone else's table, but building your own. And when you do, you will find something unexpected. People who do not ask you to shrink, who do not fear your strength, who love you not for what you can give, but for who you are. Family is not just blood. True family is not defined by obligation, but by choice. Family is the people who stand by you, not because they have to, but because they want to. It is the people who celebrate your growth, who do not require you to change in order to make them feel more comfortable. Some of the deepest, most meaningful relationships in your life will not come from those who share your name, but from those who recognize your soul and cherish you exactly as you are. And so, you must be willing to let go, to release those who cannot love you freely, to walk away from those who see you as an inconvenience, not with anger, but with peace, because you deserve better. You never had to prove your worth. You never had to exhaust yourself trying to be seen. Your existence was never meant to be spent carrying the weight of other people's expectations. So you step forward, into the unknown, into your true self. You leave behind the exhaustion of seeking approval, the heartache of being misunderstood, the pain of trying to belong where you were never meant to fit. And in that space, you create something magnificent, a life filled with love that is given without condition, respect that does not demand your self-sacrifice, and a family that is chosen, not assigned. In time, you will see that the love you sought was never behind you. It was always ahead, waiting for you to stop searching in the wrong places, waiting for you to stop justifying, stop proving, stop pleading. And when you finally claim it for yourself, you rise. Not because you are accepted, but because you have accepted yourself. You stand unshaken, knowing that those who cannot love you as you are were never meant to stay. You were never theirs to define. You belong to yourself, to your own path, to a future where your worth is unquestioned. And in that realization, you find something extraordinary. You were never lost. You were never broken. You were always whole, always worthy, always enough. And now, you are finally free.